Are you anxious right now? Then there is one tool that is already with you. Breathing is the only bodily function that happens both automatically and can be consciously controlled. The heart beats on its own, the stomach digests on its own, but breathing, you can take it in your hands right now, without any device, without a special place, without preparation, in any situation, in any state. This makes it unique, and at the same time, extraordinarily underestimated. When breathing is mentioned as a tool, it's usually in the context of just breathe deeply. And that sounds like a cliche, but behind that cliche there is something important. If you understand why it works. When a person is anxious or frightened, breathing becomes faster and more shallow. This is the response of the sympathetic nervous system. The body is preparing for action, fight or flight. Accelerated pulse, tense muscles, shallow breathing, all of this is resource mobilization. The problem is that modern threats rarely require physical action. Anxiety over an email from a manager, over an unanswered message from someone close, over something seen in a feed, it triggers that same ancient reaction, and the body stays in a state of readiness and can't get out of it. Muscles tense, breathing is shallow, the heart is fast, and none of it gets used anywhere. It simply accumulates. A slow exhale is one of the most studied ways to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for recovery and calm. Through the vagus nerve, slow breathing literally lowers heart rate and reduces arousal levels. This is not a metaphor or self-suggestion. This is physiology that has been studied for decades. The simplest technique, inhale for 4 counts, hold for 7, exhale for 8. But there is something even simpler. Just make the exhale longer than the inhale. Inhale 4, exhale 6, or inhale 5, exhale 7. The key principle is not duration, but ratio. Longer exhale, more parasympathetic activation, more calm. But there are a few things that are important to know right away. First, it doesn't turn off anxiety or remove a difficult state. It gives it less fuel. Anxious thoughts may remain, but the body exits emergency mode. And when the body is calmer, thoughts also become more accessible to choice. Second, if you haven't breathed deeply in a long time, the first conscious slow breath may feel strange, even slightly dizzy or anxiety-inducing. I'm breathing wrong, the person thinks. This is normal. The body is responding to a change in rhythm it hasn't experienced in a long time. Give yourself a minute. Third, breathing doesn't require ideal conditions. You can do it in the restroom at work, between meetings, in the car before an important conversation, under the covers at night when you can't sleep, in a line, in an elevator, wherever you are, breathing is there too. Fourth, and this is important, breathing is especially effective when combined with physical contact. Place your hand on your chest or stomach wherever you feel movement when breathing. Feel the warmth of your palm. Feel how your palm rises on the inhale and falls on the exhale. This combination of breathing and touch gives the nervous system a double signal. Someone is here, here I am. For people with chronic anxiety or those who find it hard to be in their body, even a deep breath may initially increase anxiety. I'm breathing too consciously, and now I notice I'm breathing wrong. If that is your case, start very gently. One slightly longer exhale, just one. Not a system, not a technique, just one exhale slightly longer than the inhale. That is already enough for a start. And more about specific moments where breathing helps most. First, waking up, the first minutes after the alarm before thoughts start running. 3 conscious exhales, slow, slightly longer than the inhale. This tunes the nervous system for the day with a slightly lower baseline anxiety level. Second, transitional moments. Between meetings, before an important conversation, after a tense phone call, not meditation, just 2 or 3 conscious exhales. This is a reset between states. The brain receives a signal. This moment is complete. A new one is beginning. Third, anxious waiting. Before the doctor, before an important reply, in a line. It is exactly in these moments that breathing most often becomes shallow and fast, And the most accessible tool is what is already happening. Simply slow down the exhale. Fourth, nighttime anxiety. When you wake up at 3 a.m. and thoughts start running, slow breathing with a hand on your chest or stomach. Without trying to turn off thoughts, just focusing on the sensation of breathing in the body, this is one of the most accessible ways to return to sleep. Breathing doesn't solve problems, but it gives the body enough calm for you to think, not just react. And that is already a lot. And one more thing about why breathing sometimes doesn't work. There are people for whom focusing on breathing intensifies anxiety. I start thinking that I'm breathing wrong. I notice my heart beating and I get scared. I try to breathe slowly and it gets more anxious. This phenomenon exists and it has been described. It occurs in people with certain types of anxiety disorders, especially those related to somatic sensations or panic attacks. If this is your case, don't force correct breathing. Instead, you can shift attention from breathing to something external, to the sensation of your hands, to the texture of a surface, to the sounds around you. This is also presence. This is also an anchor, just through a different channel. Breathing is one way, not the only one. And if it doesn't fit right now, that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means your nervous system needs a different entry point. Finding your entry point that is also part of the work. Patient, gradual, without coercion. And the last thing about breathing, simple and without embellishment. You cannot change the past. You cannot guarantee the future, but you can take one exhale right now, slightly longer than the inhale. This won't solve all problems, won't remove anxiety forever, won't make you invulnerable to difficulties, but it will happen. Real, concrete, done. And the nervous system will hear, someone is here, here I am, I'm taking care of myself, even with just one exhale. Sometimes one exhale is enough to take the next step, and the next step is all that's needed right now. Breathe. And more about situations where breathing is especially useful before a difficult conversation. When you know there is about to be a conflict or something that's hard to talk about, 2 or 3 slow exhales beforehand literally lower cortisol levels. You enter the conversation with a little more resource. During prolonged waiting for results, a reply, a decision, waiting activates anxiety even when nothing bad has happened yet. Breathing during this time doesn't resolve the uncertainty, but gives the body something concrete to lean on. After a conflict or tense interaction, when the nervous system is still boiling and thoughts keep replaying the situation, 1 or 2 slow breathing cycles switch the system from debriefing mode to I'm safe right now. When you can't sleep and thoughts won't stop, hand on the stomach, feel how the stomach rises on the inhale. Exhale slightly longer. Don't try to stop thoughts. Just return to the sensation of breathing each time they carry you away, again and again. Breathing is not a cure-all, but it is one of the few tools that is always with you, always free, requires nothing except a few seconds of attention, and it works not because you believed in it, but because you have a nervous system that responds to it physiologically. Take one exhale right now, slightly longer than the inhale, just one. Feel what happens. One more thing, briefly. Breathing is not only about calming down, it's also about presence. When you breathe consciously, you cannot simultaneously be completely in your head. Part of you returns to the body, to the now. That's exactly what we're most lacking in daily rhythm. Not calm, but presence. The feeling of, I'm here, this is my body, this is my moment, I'm living right now. Breathing is the simplest entry into this presence without anything extra. Simply an inhale, exhale slightly longer, body, now. You're already breathing. The next step is simply to notice it. When did you last breathe consciously? Not just breathe, but actually pay attention to your breathing? Do you notice how your breathing changes in different situations? What happens to it when you're anxious? Do you have some bodily signal that now is the time to pause? And what do you usually do then? If breathing were the only tool you had, how would you use it? If these reflections resonate with you, stay with me. Together, we will seek answers to difficult questions. Quieter than it seems,